But listen to this next quote. It's another demonstration that water is pervasive throughout the universe, even at the very earliest times, said study lead author Matt Bradford of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California. All along, gang, all along, they're misleading of us. Their covert psyop to cover the truth, because the Brookings Institution report has been based upon getting us to think that we are rare and we are special and precious here on Earth and the universe with our set of liquid water. And yet now they are releasing the idea, the truth, that water is pervasive throughout the universe, even at the very earliest times. And then I'll continue here. The sheer size of the vapor cloud may surprise some scientists because it has a very long name, APM 08279 plus 5255, contains 4,000 times more water vapor than our own Milky Way galaxy. That's right, the entire Milky Way galaxy. This one vapor cloud contains 4,000 times more water vapor than that. So, folks, the crux of their attempt to psyop us into thinking that we're alone in the universe thus far has been dependent upon the idea of convincing us of the scarcity, the rarity of liquid water, and now they've reached that point. And, gang, something is significant, probably surely to follow in short order. And once again, please hear me. Your humble host is not saying that we are about to shake hands personally with E.T. I once again point you in the direction of Project Bluebeam. And if you have access to YouTube, please do a search, Bluebeam and Ivory Coast. It's blue as in the spelling of the color, beam as in an I-beam that you have in a construction project. Bluebeam, one word or two, you're bound to find information about the project. It's using holograms, it's using technology, it's using heterodyne audio techniques to convince people that what they're seeing is something very, very real. And most recently, you can do a YouTube search for Project Bluebeam and Virgin Mary, or Virgin Mary and Ivory Coast, because in April of this year, they used this technology already. They have deployed it on a broader scale to test its use. You need to do your run-up tests before you take it full scale, folks. And they've already used Bluebeam to try to convince the population of that area that they were, in fact, seeing the presence of the Virgin Mary herself hovering in the skies, including with motion involved. There are several different videos available. A couple of the best ones have already been stripped and taken from YouTube. I think we know by who. But do some research along those lines. Your humble host is more convinced that what we are about to see and that the reason for this full court press of disclosures has more to do with the New World Order and their plans to bring about another level of control, of fascism, of a fascist state and police state. I believe it has more to do with that in the near term, although I do not mean to state that I do not believe that there is an extraterrestrial presence. But, folks, that's a much longer conversation, and right now I'd like to turn to Jeff in Idaho. If possible, Jeff in Idaho, are you on the line, sir?
Yes, I am.
Hello, Jeff. I'd like to welcome you to the Crimson Pill program, and how are you, sir?
Hi, I'm fine. I heard you on John Satmiller's show filling in, and so I thought I'd listen in, and you had a great show already. I'm going to go get your archives. But I wanted to mention a couple of authors I think that are significant that I've researched on this issue. William Line has written 3 books, Pentagon Aliens.
Jeff, how do we spell that last name? William?
Lyne. They're on Amazon. William Line, Pentagon Space Aliens, Ether Physics, Occult Ether Physics, and then a book about technocracy, about the New World Order controlling technology.
Excellent. And all 3 of these books are by Mr. Line, then?
Right. And there's an interview by him called Nazi UFOs, How They Fly. There was an interview, and the person who interviewed him basically got into big trouble and had to disappear after that. So another book that is of interest is Paul R. Hill, Unconventional Flying Objects, a Scientific Analysis.
Is that
the Great UFO Hoax?
Is that is the middle initial R, Paul R. Hill?
Right.
Excellent.
And then The Great UFO Hoax, The Final Solution of the UFO Mystery about the military-industrial complex. It's Gregory M. Kanan. And for any of Joseph P. Farrell's books, the first one I would read is Cosmic War, Interplanetary Warfare.
Yes.
Genes and Giants, Secrets to the Unified Field, Reich of the Black Sun, and SS Bell, and then he's got Philosopher's Stone about alchemy.
Yes.
So Dr. Farrell, I think, is the best author for everything all around of exposing the New World Order and the ancient secret secret societies that are basically propping up deceptive technology.
I agree with you, Jeff, there. And in fact, folks, the spelling of Farrell, it's Joseph P. Farrell. It's 2 R's and 2 L's if you're going to go to a source on the internet to look that up. And in fact, I would like to point you in the direction of my own YouTube channel. Once again, that is Crimson Pill TV, because somewhere around a month back, I had a sit-down interview. It's almost 2 hours in length with Dr. Farrell himself.
Oh, great.
And we made a pretty good exposition of a lot of his material. Jeff, as I'm sure you can appreciate from having read his books, that it would take us about 20 hours to get all the way through the quantity of work that he's made. But we did focus heavily on that Nazi Germany era and the technology programs that they engaged. And folks in the listening audience, if you're not already familiar with that material, I can safely say it will blow your mind to think about the research that they were conducting. Let me have you think about it this way, ladies and gentlemen. The theory of relativity was published about, in fact, a little over 100 years ago right now. Einstein, as smart as he was, many people think that he actually plagiarized the majority of the heavy lifting of the mathematics and other calculus that went into his exposition of the theory of relativity. Yet whether he did or didn't, I don't mean to cast stones in that regard. What I mean to point out is that there were some extremely, extremely serious practical and theoretical physicists at that time. I've heard the quote used before, again, by some people that I consider to be my confidential whistleblowers, that where Einstein was a smart enough fellow, he was like a hippie scientist. The real serious guys, the ones that the military and the international bankers kept their eyes on because they were the serious guys, are the ones that you didn't tend to hear as much about, and yet they were the ones who were doing the heavy lifting on what is called the Nazi Bell research program. And that Nazi Bell research program had its highest level of confidentiality, compartmentalization of information in the regime. It was called War Decisive. That was a higher level than what they ascribed even to their atomic weapon development program. So, folks, if that hasn't done enough to get your attention, get you to go to Crimson Pill TV and listen to that interview with Dr. Joseph Farrell, I don't know what can. Jeff, I'm sorry for rambling on there for a bit. Some additional thoughts from you, sir?
Yeah. You need to get Dark Mission, Richard C. Hoagland's book, which is very good. And if you want to understand how Tesla basically developed his unified field theory for gravity 100 years ago, which he submitted to the Swiss Patent Office, which then a guy by the name of Einstein was the patent clerk at that point, and it got covered up. Go to a website, etheric.com.
Jeff, why don't you stay with me on the line through the break? We'll be right back here, folks, in a moment. Please support our sponsors, everyone. We need that help to make the wheels go round. Ladies and gentlemen of the RBN listening audience, welcome back to the Crimson Pill. I am your host, Antonin Feori. We're in our final segment before the top of the hour. We're joined by Jeff from Idaho, who's still on the line, I hope. Jeff, are you still there?
Yeah, I am.
Just prior to the break, Jeff, you were mentioning Nikola Tesla and a patent, and someone that we might be familiar with by the name of Einstein, who was working in a patent office. Can you continue from there?
Right. He's one of the globalists that covered up that energy is free. That the oil basically comes from the bottom of the earth, and a lot of these things that the globalists need for control to implement what's called technocracy. William Lyne wrote his third book about technocracy and how the New World Order are controlling technology. But if you want to get an understanding of what Tesla was working on, the best person who's reevaluated it is at etheric.com. That's ETHERIC.com. Paul Levette has got the book Subquantum Kinetics. It's about $36. You get that, and you'll understand how matter's made to disappear, like Dr. Joseph Farrell documents in his books.
Yes.
And then another good book is The Secrets of Anti-Gravity Propulsion, Tesla UFO and Classified Aerospace Technology. Okay?
Excellent.
And then the last thing I would do, if you're really interested, is on Paul's site I would get the 2009 UFO Ozark Conference, and he explains how that Mars is covered in 2 miles of ice sheets. And this is based on one of the Van Flanders work from, I think he's died a few years ago, Van Flanders.
Yes, yep.
But basically he shows a picture on this video of one of the most recent rovers doing a moon scraping, and a Mars scraping.
Right, and sees the ice, right, yep.
The ice sublimates and disappears in the vapor, and then all you see is the the couple inches of dust covering it. So
as a matter of fact, Jeff, I have the highest resolution photograph available of that, exactly what you're talking about, where you see the ice that had been revealed under that surface, as well as a couple of other extremely high resolution photographs available from Mars that, folks, they will blow your minds. I plan to, as soon as our website has gotten to a little more robust stage, that's thecrimsonpill.com. I plan to have those available on the website for you to kind of make an analysis of yourselves. And Jeff, I want to ask you this question. Are you familiar with the connecting points between Nikola Tesla and good old J.P. Morgan himself?
Right. Well, Nikola Tesla basically created the free energy transmitters at Colorado Springs.
Yes.
Which the Air Force Academy secretly paid homage to Tesla because he created the first anti-gravity craft from Colorado Springs, so that it's a hidden secret that the flight was not by propellers, it was by electrogravitics.
Yes.
So that's why the Colorado Springs is where the Air Force Academy is. But Tesla was flying out of his hotel in the early 1900s, and when he basically told that he was going to transmit free energy through Tesla waves and longitudinal energy transfer to resonant antennas,
yes.
J.P. Morgan shut down his equipment, but that equipment was still active until after World War I. And
Jeff, did you know, as a matter of fact, that even though that particular project, folks, I want you to research it, make a note of this. It's called the Wardenclyffe Tower, and that's spelled warden like a warden of a prison, but the last half of the word is Clyffe, the Wardenclyffe Tower. And although that project, which was located here in the United States, was dismantled after or during World War II, ostensibly for scrap material, a new one was constructed. It was constructed in Germany, and that's not the only location on Earth where new ones were constructed. All of that research was continued, and it's been refined and further developed by the hand and the foot, by the powers that be, the New World Order, if you want to call them that. But good old J.P. Morgan, folks, we know his connections into the international banking community and what that represents, and I want you to follow that thread because it has so very much to do with the toys that they're about to use to manipulate us moving forward.
One last site is Tom Bearden's site, CHENIERE.org.
Real quickly.
Energy from the vacuum, and it has Tom Bendini's motors.
Jeff, I'm sorry I have to cut you short. Please call in next week again, Jeff. Maybe we'll pick up our conversation. Folks, thank you so much for listening to The Crimson Pill. We'll see you next week.